So it's 1-0 after 2 test matches, but this Ashes series is far from over. We're going to talk about the second test and a bit more here in episode 24.
Said by a hopeful Englishman.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, as I said, to episode 24 of the Kingsgrove Sports Centre podcast. You all know me, I'm Charlie Carter. To my right is Stuart Ailey. How are you, sir?
Morning, Charlie.
Good morning. To my left, welcome back, Hamish.
Charles, thank you. Good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you, mate. And as ever,
very formal.
Pushing the buttons, making things work. Nick Yanitsis over in the corner there.
Here I am. Good morning, everybody. How are you guys today?
We're good. You know what? Since the last show, I've met another Yanitsis.
What?
Well,
There's not another Yanitsis.
I've never met Jack and Lynn Yanitsis.
Oh.
Hello. But finally met Sherry, your beautiful wife.
Shari, yeah, my wife Shari. We had dinner with everybody.
How could you forget her, man?
I forgot that you met her at dinner.
Well, this just got awkward,
Sorry,
didn't
babe.
it?
Oh, boy.
Sorry, babe.
Yes,
Anyway.
so we have just come off the back of the second test match at Lord's, the home of cricket. Australia got away with a draw, shall we say, or they fought to a draw? How do you see it?
I think we might have got away with one.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the whole test match, the winner was the rain, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I think, the points went to, and the D-Day was the last day.
Yeah.
And you'd have to say the points did go to England on that day. But in saying that, it was quite balanced going into that
Going into
last
day
day.
five,
And if
yeah.
the Aussies had taken a couple of early wickets, which they didn't, it would have been game on. The pressure would have been right on the English.
Even when they removed Butler, there was a sense of, right, okay, this could be the start of the roll.
Yeah.
Well, it always happens with the English batsmen. Couple more, and suddenly we're only chasing 190.
Yep.
And we're good to go. But England, to give them some credit, batted very, very well in that second innings. Obviously, if the rain hadn't have altered things, the stage of the match, there would have been plenty of time. They may not have had to have made a declaration and could have, stretched out that lead a bit more and then given themselves time to bowl Australia out. English weather, you can never rely on it. You can rely on it to be unreliable.
There's always going to be, in an Ashes series in England, there's always going to be one draw due to the weather.
Yeah.
So I think hopefully that's the only one, because
I don't think it will be, but go on,
because I mean it is shaping up as a magnificent test series. I mean, and even in the first 2 tests that we've had, they've been fascinating to follow.
Yeah.
Belters.
Yeah, and I heard you guys in the last episode talking about Fortress Edgbaston has been absolutely smashed.
Yep.
Records like that are there to be broken.
Yes.
England hadn't won at Lord's for something like 70-odd years when they did it in 2009. So they're just like nice little statistical anomalies. Headingley, I don't think that's been a happy hunting ground for England against Australia in recent years either. So that's where the next test. Good morning, morning everyone. Control backspace delete. Let's rewind. The third test match is going to be at Headingley in Leeds, which isn't a happy hunting ground for England.
Yep.
That's where we're going in a couple of days' time to start the third test. Now, obviously, the big talking point with the second test is the rules around concussion and head injuries, and we saw Steve Smith take a horrible and horrendous blow to the head. I almost felt physically sick when I saw it because the where it hit him, how he went to the ground. Everyone thinks back to Phil Hughes.
Yep.
So happy when I saw him moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Could you imagine being Steve Smith's parents watching that?
Oh.
And we know in particular Peter very well, Steve's dad. Harry Solomon's the boss of Kingsgrove Sports, and Peter played a lot of cricket together.
Or Dad, as you call him.
I have called him Dad a few times. But yeah, could you only imagine? We felt what we felt, whether you're English or Australian or just a cricket lover. Things are pretty raw still, I think, in that regard. But to be a parent and watching that, and particularly the reaction, I think probably more out of shock than anything on Steve's part.
Yeah.
But thank goodness he was all right.
Yeah.
And to the point where he's able to come out and bat. But obviously there has been some issues since then where he's had a few I guess, symptoms of concussion, and now he's racing against the clock to see if he's able to play in the next Test match, which is a very short turnaround.
Yeah.
Well, seems to be sometimes a delayed onset of concussion. Now, I'm not a medical professional in any way, shape, or form. I seem to recall a couple of years ago that Chris Rogers had something similar. He took a blow to the head. Might have even have been at Lords, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, could have been.
I think he took a few over.
Might have taken a couple over a little while, and then because I remember, he was batting, and then he had to. He said, "Mate, I can't see the side screen or the crowd was all blurry or something." So he had to go off. Later on. So
I mean, slightly different part of the head now. Concussion, if my understanding of it is correct, and it might not be, so feel free to write in. Might as well give out the hashtags and things like that right now, mightn't we?
Yeah, go for it.
So Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre, Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport. They can't handle the plural. Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports. We always welcome your feedback, so use that hashtag KSC podcast. Now, the medical professionals will invite you to write in here and give us a bit more of an accurate description of it. But my understanding of concussion is when the brain is moving around in the skull cavity, and the injuries and the movement around that.
Yep.
With Smith's injury, it was more to the neck.
Yes.
So I'm struggling as a layman to understand how that transfers its way up into the skull cavity, the brain cavity where the brain sits.
Well,
don't get me wrong, it's a horrendous injury and it was awful, and he should have sat out just to take the time to make sure he's okay.
Yeah, you do know the head and the neck are connected quite closely, right?
Yes, but I think what I mean is that
it may have just
the
been
shaking of
it may have just been the force of him moving his head violently.
Yeah.
Obviously, the brain sits in fluid, so it's the brain hitting the skull, which causes a concussion. So maybe it's something to do with that.
I'm not suggesting for a second that he wasn't injured.
Then obviously it just comes those symptoms where you look at sort of rugby league where it's more instantaneous.
Yep.
Because it's a collision sport, it may just take a little bit longer for those symptoms to develop. And that's why when he woke up the next day, he had a bit of a headache and he was a bit groggy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think there's just a duty of care in this day and age to make sure. That things are okay.
So I mean, obviously that was the good thing. I mean, it was the first time the concussion substitute's been used, which is good. It was the first for cricket.
Yeah.
But also the fact that obviously Steve Smith is Australia's best player. He's their best batsman.
Yep.
And we're going into day 5 where he could have been crucial in either winning a test match, saving it, or saving a test match. But our medical staff said, "No, Stephen, you're not right. You're not playing." Even though obviously the reports were when the incident happened and he went off, he didn't want to go off, but he went off and he said, "I want to get back out there. He ended up going back out there.
Yep.
But then the next day he didn't quite pass the concussion protocols as well as he did the day before, and the medical staff said, "No, you're not playing."
A lot can be said for adrenaline.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's interesting how your mental state is when you get hit in the head or in the face. I mean, I'm nowhere near as bad an injury, but last year you may remember if you've seen the advert with me with the black eye. That particular incident, I was playing one of those Kevin Peterson flamingo shots down leg side, leading edge.
So what your wife said
into my careful now, inside edge onto my own face. Egg came up, but as soon as it happened, all that happened, I went and picked the ball up, chucked it back to the bowler, and took guard ready for the next ball. And the guy in the next net to me said, "Charlie, can I just have a look at that?" And I went, "Yeah," like that. Looked at him. He said, "Mate, there's an egg there already. You need to get out."
Yeah.
To stop. Well, first things first, you should have been wearing a helmet, you pillock.
Yes.
But obviously, pillock's an English word. He didn't say that.
Yeah.
And he was quite right. I should have got out. But at that moment in time, I didn't think that there was anything wrong.
Pretty normal.
And
in my experience of sport.
Yeah.
Smith felt.
Can I ask the question as an Englishman, and we had Labuschagne come in and he got a pretty nasty one himself.
Second, yeah.
I audibly went, second ball.
Now, his innings pretty much saved the test match along with Travis Head. As an Englishman, with the game on the line, you guys sort of heading for victory at that stage. Were you a little bit disappointed with the rule and the fact that it came into play and that it's the first time and a lot of people are probably not used to the rule? Is it test cricket for you that someone can be subbed in that didn't start the game? Or do you think the majority of cricket lovers are like, okay, no, this is the new way?
Yeah, I think from my point of view, the sport is evolving all the time, and you've got to get with the times as well. I'm not particularly a fan of the numbers on the back, but I think having a substitute in for someone who's taken a fairly serious injury, I think that's fair. And swings and roundabouts, it may well happen for England at some point that they get someone hit in the head, and they, it could be Joe Root or Johnny Bairstow or whoever it might be. So I didn't have an issue with the substitute rule at all. The only issue I really had was that it was getting late at night at that point while I was watching. I saw him get hit in the head, and I thought, I'm going to watch a bit longer here, just check he's okay. And then I watched for another 3 or 4 overs, and he played and missed so many times that I was that tired. I went, well, I'm going to bed now because he won't last long. And I woke up and he's 59.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he did a number. I think maybe England underestimated him a little bit, and he batted really, really well, especially on Test substitute debut at Lords in an Ashes Test, replacing Steve Bloody Smith.
And day 5 in a pressure situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably not. That innings may have gone under the radar a little bit. To come in day 5, you're replacing Steve Smith at Lords in an Ashes Test match. You're Jofra Archer bowling Rockets. Yeah. You get hit in the face second ball.
Now there's a topic.
Might have played himself into the 3rd Test, do you think?
Well, possibly. Look, if Steve's not available, then Marnus is in.
Well, there's also a couple of other
players
spots that may have
some
question marks.
Some question marks over them, which I think we'll get to a bit later on in some listener questions.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I to answer your question in a nutshell, no, I don't have a problem with the substitute coming on, and yes, he batted very well, and yes, that was disappointing because
Stewie, you're a bit of a student of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, you can answer the questions that I throw at you most of the time. What's the system for the substitute? Does every player have a player next to him penciled in?
No,
or is
no.
it
So basically,
man?
He doesn't have to be. So the substitute doesn't have to be in the playing 11.
Yeah.
Sorry, the playing 12.
Yep.
So it's just a like for like. Replacement.
Yep.
So obviously Steve Smith's a batsman, so you got to bring a batsman in.
Yep.
If Josh Hazlewood got hit, then you need to bring in I believe you'd have to bring in a fast bowler. So I think if Nathan Lyon got hit, I think you would have to bring in a spinner. I don't think you could bring in a pace bowler for a spinner.
So am I presuming that on the team sheet,
Yep.
that each player has the equivalent?
No, like I said, he doesn't have to. He doesn't actually have to be.
So when's the decision
doesn't have to be in the squad. So you've got up to 36 hours.
Yep.
To request a replacement.
Yep.
So once an incident happens and you think, no, he can't. So say this happened on day 1,
yes,
for instance.
Yep.
And Smith played the rest of day 1 and he got to day 2, and he started to feel a bit, in the afternoon he was no good. Yeah, so Cricket Australia then could put a request into the ICC, explaining what happened, blah, blah, blah. And if the ICC says yes, then you can bring in another player.
Right.
But no, that you don't have to nominate people who are going to come in. So you can pick someone from outside of the squad, I think.
Yep.
So yeah, if you're on tour somewhere, or say it happens in Australia, obviously it happens in Australia.
Yeah.
And the Aussie guys might have a squad, but then they've gone off to play Shield cricket, and something happens, they could draft someone in from a Shield game. It doesn't have to be in the actual squad, I believe.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Punter to pad up.
Maybe. I don't think.
No. From an English point of view, get punter to pad up.
No, not how he ended his career. No.
Well, that actually, you may well have already answered that, but the first question that we got here from @Ryan Mackay, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Sorry, Ryan.
I'm going to go with Mackay.
Mackay, what changes would you make to the squad, especially if Smith is out? Well, let's do that. Number 1, if Smith is out for this 3rd Test at Headingley, who do you go for as his replacement?
That one answers itself now.
Labuschagne.
Yeah.
Done. Okay. Any other changes that you would make?
Second question. Also in the second and third question. So the second question from Liam Giro: could there be a change of openers for Australia? I reckon Joe Burns should be in the side. Unfortunately, I don't think Joe's in the squad.
Yeah.
I think he's at home.
Yep.
Don't necessarily disagree with him either.
I think Marcus Harris is next cab off the rank.
So you've got Marcus Harris there. There's probably a few things that they could do. I mean, all the talk is that Warner's unlikely to be dropped. Because he's Dave Warner and he's got some runs on the board, and you're hoping that he will come good at some stage. So Bancroft is the one that's really on the chopping block.
Yeah.
Got to do it, Nick. Sorry. Can I just say with Warner, I've been saying for 4 or 5 years now to come around the wicket to him.
Anyway. Well, it worked. I mean, Stuart has finally listened to you. Broad has listened to you, and it's working.
He's obviously watching the podcast.
Thanks for that, man. Appreciate that.
How many? I just put another tally onto the comment.
Haven't even mentioned Formula One yet. Anyway,
so yeah, Bancroft's in the firing line. Yeah, you could obviously if you drop
Specialist,
if you drop
close infielder,
specialist close infielder, you could bat at 11.
Yeah.
what a grab, by the way.
Yeah, so you could drop him. You could put Usman to open the batting with Warner. You could bring Harris in. Does Labuschagne open the batting?
On Bancroft, the TV commentators made a point. He gets his front foot. He plants his front foot and plants it across a little bit. Why aren't they utilising the Yorker?
It gets
now,
in it. Well,
that's a ball that seems to have disappeared from a lot of cricket, and I think that's such a shame. But what are you afraid of?
I don't think they're needing to use the Yorker just yet for Bancroft. I think unfortunately his foot. Yeah, he's playing around his front pad a lot.
But
he's getting his foot.
Even if you're Steve Smith. Even if you're Brian Lara, the Yorker is a wonderful ball.
They talked about that in the coverage during the Test match with Michael Holding, and you'd probably need a bowl. The Yorker's a ball that's sort of gone out of the repertoire of a lot of bowlers these days, but
especially to tail enders.
I'm wondering if they would put Harris in for Bancroft.
I think, like you said, he's the next cab off the rank. So
yeah.
Yeah,
he hasn't been overly impressive so far in the tour games that he's played.
I guess in support at this stage, as opposed to runs on the board, in support, they haven't lost a Test match yet.
Yeah,
they almost did.
I think that the only problem is that we are relying on Steve Smith to get some runs, so we're not making great starts up the top. The openers are not making any runs, so we probably want to try and get a better start so that Smithy's coming in, at least with a few runs on the board.
Yeah.
And even Usman coming in with a few runs on the board, so that
you'd like to go to the Jufa theory and say
Jufa runs, yeah. Which I think Warner can do. I think Warner can go from 0 to 100.
Yeah.
I think he can do that. I'm not seeing that with Bancroft.
Yep.
I'm not seeing him getting any runs. I'm not seeing him being in any way, shape or form in form to get runs.
Yep. And now it's probably a confidence issue as well.
Yeah.
Playing on his mind psychologically speaking.
It's obviously not affecting his fielding a bad pad because he's taking some absolute spectacular catches. But you got to be in there, man. If you open the batting, you need to score some runs.
Yeah, you're not being picked for your shot.
Or at least defend some balls and take the shine off it.
Yeah.
That's just not happening.
Okay.
And that's just not happening.
Well, could we see Marcus Harris? That is the question.
Well, I think we could see Marcus Harris, yeah.
Yep.
Although, if Smith's out, how many changes do you want to make in one Test match?
I suppose what we need to be seeing to get an insight into what may happen is if we could go to the Aussie team training and see if Marcus Harris is doing any short catching drills.
So I wonder if he'll go in there or Travis Head, because Travis Head fills in there occasionally. So.
Yeah.
Now, here's another one that sort of surprised me how well he's going. Let's not say he's not a good player, but he's batted pretty well throughout the series so far in the 2 games.
Travis Head, no, he's going well.
Mm.
Came off 100 at the end of the Aussie series, I think, didn't he? Scored some runs. He batted okay during the Aussie summer without being spectacular, but yeah,
you're not being made vice captain if your coaching staff don't think you're capable of doing something next level.
I think Travis is important for the Australian team going forward. We need him to be making runs and making hundreds because he could possibly be the next captain after Tim Payne.
Possibly. Well,
it's another question coming through.
There is. And look at that. It said, stop talking about the batting. I've got a question about the bowlers. Now, you guys have got so much strength in depth with Pattinson and Stark on the sidelines. This particular YouTube watcher, Jake M., Hazelwood is washed. He should never play again until he learns that line and length is good, but you need to add some variations to your game. He's so one-dimensional. Bancroft is still scoring more centuries than any other opening batsman at first-class level. Bancroft, we've sort of just covered there and spoke about him. Hazelwood,
can I just? Well, I mean, line and length worked well for Glenn McGrath.
Yep.
Generally, line and length works. Variations are good, but you can't bowl 6 different deliveries. No one's been that successful bowling 6 different deliveries. I think Josh proved what a class performer he is.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he get the first 3 wickets in the first innings with the new ball?
Yep.
So
I'm Jake M. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to disagree with you, and I'm not sure how much cricket that you actually watch.
Yeah, there you
to be
go.
fair. I think maybe you might need to go back and study some history.
Yeah, maybe
just watch Glenn McGrath bowl. Watch some highlights of Glenn McGrath, and he made a excellent career out of bowling line and length.
He certainly did. His second innings, though, obviously Josh went wicketless, so perhaps this has come off the back of.
Sometimes that happens.
Innings.
Sometimes
it does.
that happens.
Well, look at Nathan Lyon, none for 102.
How many wickets did Stuart Broad get in the second innings?
3, 4.
Did he get 3? No, I think he got none.
Oh, none for.
Yeah, he got none for.
None for off 7. No, it's 3 or 4 in the first innings.
Yeah.
It is a team game.
It is a team game. You don't get
sometimes you don't get wickets.
Sometimes
you don't get. We look at Peter Siddle in the first Test match. He sort of there's. I think at that level, bowling there's a lot to be said for bowling in partnerships.
Yep.
And if you've got one bloke tying an end down, as guys like Siddle and Hazelwood tend to do, then it's often the bowler at the other end that's cashing in.
Yeah.
Siddle's been a surprise pick for me, but he's certainly not disgraced himself.
No, he keeps doing the job. He keeps doing the job. So, and then on Bancroft, I mean, you might score hundreds at first class level, but sometimes there is a gap between first class and Test cricket.
This is Test cricket at its best.
And sometimes some guys that perform well at first class level don't necessarily perform well at Test level, and then you get the other guys that maybe don't have the greatest first class record but have a good Test record.
Yep.
So I think at the moment, this might be showing on in Bancroft's.
Yeah, it's not really helping the Australian team at the moment.
No. Yeah.
How long do you give him though?
Well, I think we just gave him 2 Test matches.
I don't think he's got too long. I think it may come down to if Smith's fit and how many changes they want to make for that. They probably don't want to make too many changes because again there could be a change to the bowling lineup depending on the pitch, etc. They rested Pattinson for this Lord's Test so that maybe he'd be ready for Leeds.
Leeds is Headingley is not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but having said that, if the England bowlers are not on their game, batting's quite easy at Headingley.
Yeah.
Like Jeff Boycott said it many times, you got to pitch the ball up, you can't bowl short at Headingley.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
No worries.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
And England historically have sort of tended to drop short at Headingley, which is frustrating because pitch it up and you'll get the rewards, and we've seen that in the first 2 Test matches. But hopefully we can lift that Headingley hoodoo.
Yes. Anyway, so if we move on a couple of...
I was thinking that I just brought up the England bowling. We'll go back to the Smith thing in a minute. Jofra Archer coming in for the second Test. Now he's added a completely new dimension to England's bowling lineup. And I'm sure that we're going to get, he's not English, he's West Indian, he's this. Get over it.
Well, his father's English, isn't he?
Exactly right. Kevin Peterson's mother was English as well. So, whatever. Yeah. That doesn't bother me. If he's wearing the shirt with the England logo on, he's playing for England, he's English. I'm fine.
I would like to say it would be nice if he was playing for the West Indies, just sort of for world
they need him
for world cricket sort of.
They need him more.
Like it'd be handy.
They need him, but I mean, we're pretty used to a multicultural English squad these days. So let's just play on.
I'm also just happy that he's playing. So.
As someone that's very shortly about to become an Australian citizen, I'm all for emigration. Anyway, Jofra Archer. Now he's come in. He's bowling 90 mile an hour plus. That's about 150 k's for anyone who doesn't know the old money. I think that's refreshing. I really do, to see England have someone with real pace and upsetting batsmen, because we've not had that for a long, long time. And if you switch it around to series over here, when you guys have got people like Stark and Mitchell Johnson bowling thunderbolts and Brett Lee, and that pace can really upset batsmen.
Yeah. So Ryan McKay's asked another question as well. That does Jofra Archer make much of a difference to the England bowling attack?
Ooh.
I say yes.
Absolutely.
Let's ask Steve Smith that question.
Well, anybody that can bowl 90 mile an hour plus, 150 plus for a sustained period like he did, that makes a difference.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
You've got most of the other guys bowling in this Test match are bowling, between sort of 83 to 90 miles an hour at their top pace. 90 miles an hour at their top pace. Archer can bowl 90 miles an hour as an average in some spells.
And bowls pretty accurately.
And bowls accurately as well. It's not like he's spraying. He does remind me a little bit of Michael Holding.
Yep.
He's very, very rhythmical. It doesn't look like a big effort. It's not a big effort to bowl that fast.
That's half the surprise, I think.
Yeah. and that's half the surprise. I think also the pitch helped him a little bit as well. It was a little bit up and down. It was a bit too paced, which caused a few issues for the batsman. If things tend to be a little bit more even pace, you get a bit more of a rhythm, and you could probably maybe get out of the way of a few things. But he makes a difference.
For me, it's clear to see why they've wanted to. They've been keeping an eye on him for the last few years with a view to picking him.
Yep.
And I think he's justified that, because it's all well and good bowling 95 miles an hour in England, and we've seen James Anderson, who's not the quickest bowler in the world, but he moves it. He swings it. He's accurate, and he's England's all-time leading wicket taker. In fact, he's taken more wickets than any other seam bowler in Test cricket history.
Correct.
That's fine in English conditions.
Yep.
Jimmy struggled in Australia, sometimes in South Africa, subcontinent, and those places. Jofra Archer bowling 90 to 95 miles an hour plus. I'm not saying he won't struggle, but there's an extra element in there.
There's
and that little bit of hurry up that can trouble the batsman. Now, that leads on nicely to Joe Hiley, 233's question on Instagram. Is Archer the first bowler to rattle or intimidate Steve Smith? It's clear to see that there were many struggles. Now, we've spoken about the ball that hit him in the neck. A couple of overs before that, he got smashed in the arm.
Yeah.
And that egg went up straight away. And quite honestly, I was hoping that after they put the arm guard on him, that he'd get hit on the arm again, because they'd attached it to the glove, and if he got caught off that, that's
mate.
out.
All right, just relax.
I just wanted him out. I didn't want him knocked out. I wanted him out.
It's probably the first one that I can remember, sort of in recent memory, that he struggled against.
I guess there have been times where someone like Stain at his best probably made it difficult.
It is just one. I mean, he did still score some runs off him. It wasn't like So
he still got 92.
I would. Yeah, so he struggled a little bit against him.
Yeah.
If he plays in this Test match, how does he go in this Test match? He doesn't quite. It's not quite at Broad Warner level just yet. He's not getting him out for he hasn't got him out 3 times in the series so far. So
he's only bowled him once.
Yeah, so that was obviously a pretty special spell of fast bowling. So we'll have to see how he goes.
The big question. The big question here. And this one is from me, as opposed to one of our viewers and readers and whatever. As an English selector, if Anderson is fit, right, hypothetically, what's your bowling lineup in the next Test match or the Test match after when you've got Anderson fit again? Because then, someone's got to make way, right?
I'm going to answer it by not answering it really, in that I don't think Anderson will be fit. Even if he's past fit, I don't think they should bring him in for the third test, and I think they should stick with what they've got.
So you've just answered the question.
I can answer it though, because the reports are. So is that for this Test match? England have the same squad.
Yep.
He's playing a county game. I think the previous fitness. If he's fit, the talk is that they will drop Chris Wokes to bring Anderson in,
which is kind of a like for like, and I don't mind, but at the same time, Chris Wokes probably doesn't deserve that, and
hasn't
done
much.
I don't think so. And Chris Wokes bats a hell of a lot.
He brings more with the bat.
Provides a bit more with the stick, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he hasn't really done a lot wrong, Chris.
I would say that to be honest, that would be a backward step for England. As good as Jimmy is, he's 38 years old.
It is, but the only issue I have with that, and I suppose they've got that at the Lord's Test with Wokes as well, is that you got 3 guys really that deserve the new ball.
Yeah.
So you bring Anderson in, you've got to give him the new ball.
Yes.
Who do you give it to the other end? Do you give it to Stuart Broad, the senior bowler?
Has to.
Well, probably, or do you give it to probably because he's bowling well,
or do you give it to Jofra Archer, who? What I'd do is, if Anderson was playing, is Anderson and Broad to open up, and as soon as Steve Smith comes in, Archer, away you go.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's a situation that Australia are often faced with.
Yeah.
When you've got Hazelwood, Stark, and Cummins. Cummins would be opening to bowling in most Test teams in the world, but not often
the number one Test rank bowler is the first change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I think Cummins' ranking is probably the 4th. I think it's the 4th highest numbers wise throughout the history of the game.
Yeah.
So pretty impressive.
Yeah. He's doing a good job.
4th or 5th.
Before we move on from the Archer thing, though, at Sarang_man.15, Archer walking back to his mark straight after hitting Smith without apologising is below standards. I don't agree.
Big talking point, this one.
Yeah.
Why should he apologise?
I kind of... Well, I mean, look, It's not so much about
check on his welfare.
Apologising. I think he probably did, but I mean, you've got to. We don't know how Joffa was feeling at that time. He may have been walking down to see him, but saw him and just thought, "Hang on, this is no good.
Yeah,
I can't be here," and turned around. Yeah, there wasn't a it wasn't like the camera was on him all the time.
Yeah,
watching
what it
his
looked
emotions.
like to me from what I saw was that there was concern on his face, but when he saw that Steve Smith was conscious and taking his helmet off, that's when he turned around and walked to his bowling.
That could have been the case.
As for apologising or checking on welfare, okay, you should check. You're all right, mate. Okay, I'm off.
Yeah,
you don't have to. There's no requirement for you to. How many times did Mitchell Johnson ask if batsmen were okay?
Yeah. I think if you
Before
have
he
to,
turned and walked
he might have done, but it might have been sort of.
How many times did Jeff Thompson do?
Yeah.
How many? I mean, there's okay. It's the gentlemanly thing to check on the welfare. I don't think you should apologise.
No.
What the hell should you
apologise?
I mean,
these guys they're also teammates. Archer and Smith play at Rajasthan together.
Yeah.
He may have checked on him afterwards.
I think
in the dressing room.
that one's easy to answer in the context of battle. If you feel you have to apologise for hitting someone, then why bowl a bouncer to start with?
Yeah.
So that's just the game. You're bowling a bouncer in Test cricket at the highest level to
the best batsman in the world.
The best batsman in the world, second best batsman in the world, numbers-wise.
Yeah.
You don't do it
Rankings-wise,
because you're scared of hitting him or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the highest level. You're bowling like this to intimidate, and it's the batsman's job to be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
And every now and then the bowler's going to hit the batsman. It's been going on for
a
long time.
Should he have apologised for hitting him in the arm?
You need to.
Well, yeah.
You don't apologise for hitting a batsman because at the end of the day, that's kind of your job. If you're bowling the sort of bowling that's hitting a batsman, you're bowling the sort of bowling that's possibly going to get that batsman out.
Yeah.
If he's doing it more than the rules state.
So for instance,
then,
if he was doing that to Nathan Lyon or Josh Hazlewood, guys that bat at 10 and 11 who can't hold a stick, then there's probably a different story.
Yeah,
well,
he's bowling it to Steve Smith, who is his average is currently like 70.
Again, I don't necessarily agree because Johnson and co didn't have any issues bowling to
Plus also
Jimmy Anderson or Stuart Broad.
Well, the other fact is too, like when Archer batted, it wasn't like we were bowling half volleys to him either.
No, and I'll go one further and say. It wasn't. You apologise for an accident. So if he's bowled a beamer that's got him in a horrible place, by all means he should apologise.
Yes,
because if he's bowled a deliberate beamer, he should be banned.
Yes,
but it's obviously an accident. With a bouncer, you are targeting the body. Okay, you don't necessarily want to see someone seriously hurt.
No,
but you want that intimidation. And like I say, Mitchell Johnson, I'm highlighting him in particular, but there have been many other bowlers in the history of Test cricket. No issues bowling really sharp bouncers at tail-end batsmen. I think it's part of the game. And for me, it's just nice that for once it's an England bowler that's able to give that intimidation out rather than be on the end of it.
Yeah.
Is it fair that Archer has now become public enemy number one in Australia?
I don't think he has.
Do we know the full story?
No.
I don't think he has.
I mean,
if you read some Facebook comments and whatnot,
I don't. Social media tend to be I mean, he spoke to Sky News, on just before day 5 or something, and he was. I mean, he said that he wasn't. I mean, he was upset that he hit him. He didn't want to deliberately hurt him.
Yeah, of course.
And they don't want to deliberately hurt him. And I think this outrage is just typical social media.
Yeah.
He
is a young bloke.
Yeah.
And so therefore he might have just totally felt uncomfortable.
He's never
with what had just happened.
It was not like he's come out in the press saying, I'm targeting Steve Smith. I want to hit him. I want to There's none of that. There's none of that. So. It's just I mean, unfortunately, I think people need
and the
to
media
move
also.
On. Media
jumped on it.
Media love to grab it and take it because they love to go to the lowest.
Well, we've had this conversation before back with the board tampering thing, in that social media allows people to express instantaneous outrage.
Yes.
Without getting the facts.
Yeah.
Without, fully investigating what's going on.
Or understand how you would feel in that same situation.
Yeah, 100%. But this leads on to a couple of questions. Hamish, I don't know if you want to read those ones out, but based on what we were just talking about.
Okay, well, this one's more of a statement. Jofra Archer is a very aggressive and amazing bowler.
Totally agree.
Yep.
And then the next question from at Cooper_Ray_. Do you think they should do something to Archer because he is dangerous bowler? Well,
Do what?
do we put him in a zoo?
No.
Or do we?
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of question is that?
No. So,
Make him bowl left-handed? Or
Do we?
every
Send him to prison. He's too fast.
Rubbish. Yeah, Joffa, can you just bowl slower, please?
Yeah. Is this Test cricket?
Or left-handed.
Yeah.
Or
This is Test
actually,
cricket.
just lob them down.
Yeah.
High follows only,
In fact,
Jofra.
there's
Typical Aussie suggesting underarm. Come on, man.
Well, no. I mean,
underscore UK. I meant to say. Like there is a chance that he will find another 10 kilometres of pace at some stage.
Yeah, that's quick.
So
That's
what
quick.
are we going to do now? Send him to Mars?
That's quick.
Yeah.
No, because otherwise,
Is he a dangerous bowler?
yes, but was
No,
Mitchell?
is it-
but was Mitchell Johnson not dangerous during that Ashes series in
okay.
2014-15?
Yeah. All right. This is
Right.
where I agree. That is the reason I asked that is this. The insinuation I get from this question that he's talking about dangerous is in he's bowling to purposefully hurt people. I think he's dangerous because he's a wicket taker.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
I
the
don't
only
think
danger
I
I
don't
see.
think he's deliberately trying to bowl to hit batsmen. He hasn't gone back to the Jeff Thompson days where he deliberately tried to hit batsmen because that's
Yeah.
what he thought was fun.
Yeah. There's stories of Jess Thompson saying about some, did I get you? And the bloke went, no, not quite. He goes, I'll get you next time. You
Yeah, yeah. So we've moved on from that.
Yeah.
I think cricket would be boring. Well, look, if you want to do that, just set up a bowling machine at one end and put half volleys on and see how far the batsman can hit them.
Pretty much.
Oh,
There we go.
I love the part of the question is, do you think they should do something to Archer? Operate. Get him under the knife.
Put a sniper in the
Yeah.
ground.
Slow him
Shorten his bowling arm.
Make him fatter.
Now, I'm going to throw across to Nick here because
Please.
let's move it to an American sport, baseball.
Okay.
Now-
I'm not a good person to ask about baseball.
Okay, well, you're probably better than us three. But
What you got?
obviously, you've got the box in baseball that you've got to throw the ball.
Strike zone.
Yeah, you've got to pitch the ball too. Obviously, batters get annoyed if the ball comes too close to them.
Yes.
They're wearing far less protective equipment than the cricketers
That's true.
are. What are the sort of unwritten rules, the etiquette, if you like, of pitching in baseball and dangerous pitches?
You just. I think
You're not supposed to. Sorry,
I think well, that's okay. Go ahead.
I was saying you're not supposed to throw. You're not supposed to deliberately throw it at the batter.
I think
Well, no.
because of the positioning, the batting stance in baseball and the strike zone and what have you, that you're less likely to be in a position where the batter is in front of the ball or like in front of the strike zone.
Yeah.
Whereas like in cricket, I think you can take batting stances and positions that sometimes do put you in the path of the ball more often than in baseball.
But there's no strike zone.
No.
Right.
In
right,
cricket,
right.
you are allowed,
You're in front of the
Yes.
stumps.
providing the ball bounces, you're technically allowed to bowl most balls where you like.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, there
right.
is a limit to how many
There's-
bounces you can bowl.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they did restrict it after obviously the West Indies in the 70s and 80s. So, they did reduce it, but yeah, look, I think the reaction's a little bit overblown.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if we could just go back to
to
Steve Smith and more so there's a couple of questions here around that he wasn't wearing a neck protection.
The stem guard.
So
Available here at Kingsgrove
but whether it's a stem guard, just basically just the neck protection to wear. So obviously at the moment that it is it's optional for the players to wear.
Yep.
You don't have to wear it. Obviously all the helmets they wear are now improved and they made a much tougher standard. So like the things with the face guards are fixed so they don't move, etc. And they're also a lot stronger, so that's obviously helped Labuschagne when he got hit. But yeah, so at the moment, yeah, the neck protection is optional. So you'll see some guys wearing it and you'll see some guys that don't wear it.
Well, if you look at the two incidents there, the two guys that got hit in the head, Labuschagne obviously got it on the grill.
Yep.
And he nasty delivery, he copped it in a nasty place, got up straight away, fantastic, he's not injured. Technique.
Yep.
He kept his eyes towards where the ball was coming from. Smith, and I'm not suggesting for a second it's his fault, but he turned his head on it.
Yeah.
I was surprised when I
And-
saw the clip of that how much he turned his head
Yeah,
around. I guess maybe
which
it's just
is
a reflex
instinct.
That's
for
just-
anticipating
that
the ball
it's
coming.
a natural. Yeah,
That
it's
is
a natural,
instinct.
It's a natural
Yeah.
instinct
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to be
It's
hit
your
in the
brain.
face.
It's your brain taking over. And
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you know it's part of sort of flinching that
Yeah.
you move to a side.
Yeah.
What I'm wondering here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but would the neck protector have actually protected? Because he seemed to to get it.
It actually hit him on the helmet, didn't it?
No.
It actually struck his neck.
Yeah. So it may have done. It sort of may have taken some of the blow.
Yeah.
The reason that at the time I felt a little bit sick is because when they showed the slow-mo replay, it was not far at all away from the point of impact for Phil Hughes. That artery that runs behind the ear, which is what happened with Hughes. It wasn't far away from that at all. So, and in fact, even when I saw it first thing live, I thought, oh no! And that's why I was so happy when he got up and started moving. Now, sort of a side note to that incident, when Smith has been walked off the field, quite rightly so, a pocket of the English crowd booing, majority of the English crowd applauding. For mine, the applause was much, much louder. The Barmy Army put out a statement saying, for your information, we are not at Lords. We are not booing Steve Smith. We hope he is okay.
Yeah.
There seems to be this sentiment from Australians that the English crowd are a pack of idiots and everyone's booing, and there's not. It's a small minority.
Well, it's always a small minority.
It's a loud minority.
But I let me get this one out because I think there's a little bit of hypocrisy here. Yeah. These are the same people that had absolutely no problem booing Stuart Broad. And the reason I want to get this out is because I got into a bit of a conversation with someone about this the other day about why Stuart Broad should have been booed and why Smith, Bancroft and Warner should have been booed. The difference is that Stuart Broad didn't break any rules. He may have gone against the spirit of the game by not walking, but we've covered in separate podcasts, you don't walk.
Yep.
Sometimes I don't walk. There are several Australians in the history of the game that haven't walked. It's not a gentlemanly thing to do, but it's not against the rules of the game to not walk if you hit it.
Yeah.
Putting sandpaper on a ball is against the rules.
So look, if you want to boo them for that's fine. I think probably you didn't need to boo him as Steve Smith was walking off.
No,
100. I think that's what I was. And then walking back on.
Let me get it out. That's what I was going to do. Is say that okay, if you want to boo them in a pantomime way, walking on, fine, they can deal with that. And booing someone they've just got injured as they're walking off the field, that small minority of the crowd should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
I'm glad to say that the majority of the English crowd at Lords, as well as the Australians, were quite rightly applauding him that he was okay.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, I just wanted that's a side note.
So they actually booted a member.
I got a tweet from Michael Vaughan, former English captain.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy.
I get the pantomime of Steve Smith 49 arrival to the crease and the booing, but please stop booing once he plays with great skill, courage, and incredible discipline. He deserves a standing ovation for that innings.
100%.
So I think what we're saying there is still booing. It's time to move on.
Yeah,
there is. I mean, I don't particularly even agree with the booing for Steve Smith.
Yeah,
because his part in that whole thing was just basically saying, I don't want to be involved, rather than saying, don't do it.
Yeah, well,
so
and yes, okay, I don't think we need to go back over it. But I mean, still, as a leader, hang on. As a leader, you can't say, not my problem.
No, you can't.
So that's so that's why he got banned, and that's why he could probably get booed.
Yeah, my point being though that okay, if you want to boo, why is all the attention on stop booing Steve Smith?
Because he scores runs.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. For mine, Warner maybe deserves a little bit of booing, but okay, get over it. It's done now. Bancroft, okay, deserved a little bit of booing. It's done. Get over it. The booing needs to stop, even if it is pantomime, especially, as Vaughan says, if he's just played a fantastic innings.
They're also booing him because he's out there longer.
Yeah. I think you'll find that the players have all moved on. Yeah, and they've learnt to ignore it.
Warner's got involved in it. Isn't standing by the crowd.
I don't think they're worried about it anymore. It's not. It's something done. I just want to go back to this and your thoughts on, do you think that they will make it mandatory that the players wear neck protection?
They'll be certainly thinking about it more.
Yeah.
Well, I think that from an insurance point of view, if they don't,
so we're looking, basically just looking to reduce, to reduce or minimise the risk of injury.
Well, they'll be afraid of getting sued. I mean, why if they wait until something else happens before they do something about it, then they leave themselves vulnerable.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they make it mandatory at all. And as someone that doesn't wear a helmet. Mind you, I don't face 90-mile-an-hour bowling in Shires. Well, I don't play Shires cricket.
I mean, they do have the option, though.
Yes, they do have the option.
The option.
Yes.
But disappointing for a player to sue the organisation.
So do you think then it'll be an opt-out situation? You have to wear this, but if you sign this piece of paper reducing us of any legal responsibility.
That's the society we live in this day and age.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. What's going to happen in the third test?
Probably rain a little bit.
That's Leeds.
Yeah. Look, it's the fact that it's hard to call, I think, underlines the fact that it's such a well-matched series, this one.
Yep.
I really don't know which way to go, to be truthful. I think England have taken a lot out of the second test match. They'll be buoyed by their performance and buoyed by the fact that Archer is now this secret weapon, or not so secret anymore. So, look, it's quite appetising to think that England will come away with a win in this test match, and we have a series with 2 games to go locked at 1-1. And I have a feeling that might be the case.
So you think England will win at Leeds?
I think so. I don't want to say that, and I hate myself. I'm going to give myself an uppercut for saying it. But, I'm trying to come up with my view on not an emotional view, but a cricketing view on how it'll turn out. And I just think the English team are probably going to be a little bit more confident than what they were for the second test.
Definitely, yeah. So it's going to come down to, this series is really going to come down to which batting lineup can score some runs. Because so far in sort of every test match or every innings, there's just been sort of one person that's, scored some runs. Whether obviously Steve Smith in two innings, but so Rory Burns for England, Ben Stokes in the last test match. So someone's got a big score. It's not multiple people getting big scores, apart from that second innings in Edgbaston for Australia, where Wade scored 100 as well. It's about the batting lineup that can win the toss and put 400 on the board and put the opposition under pressure. I don't know who's going to do that. I haven't seen anywhere where that's possible. I kind of maybe just think that could be from England. Like if Burns can keep scoring some runs, and then, if Stokes is in form, if Butler can get some runs, if Bearshaw can get some runs, Wokes can get some runs, they can get a big score. So that'll be interesting.
And there's also obviously the Smith factor.
There's the Smith factor.
There's that grey area now where we just...
Okay, I'm going to put it this way. If Smith doesn't play, England win.
Okay. That's succinct, and I'll agree. In a nutshell, I'll agree with that. I'll expand on it slightly further. England have made a couple of changes which are good. I think Moeen Ali getting out has allowed Jack Leach to come in, and he's far more of a threat than Moeen Ali. He bowled really well. Australia, though, they can fight fire with fire. They have the option to, okay, see you later, Sids, we need someone with a bit more pace. Bring in Mitchell Starc. Or in fact, they could go all-out pace. Okay, you guys have got Jofra Archer, but we got these 3 guys.
Well, they go forward if they wanted to.
Well, I mean,
you could put Pattinson in as well.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
and get rid of Hazelwood because he's slightly slow. I don't think they should.
I think if you're going to do that, you need to keep Hazelwood in because he can be.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is have those 3 absolute gun pacemen in Stark, Cummins, and Pattinson, and then have a support bowler now, whether that is Hazelwood or Siddle or
because Pattinson's batting is not. So that's a problem. If Australia if Australia was batting better, if Warner was in form, if we're getting more out of the top order. You could put in Pattinson. Pattinson scored some runs in the second innings at Edgbaston. His batting is quite good, but because we're not getting a lot of runs out of the top order, and then we're not always getting a great deal of runs out of the bottom order. Like Tim Payne seems to find amazing ways to get out. I mean, Joe Denley is not going to take that catch again in his career probably. So you just don't have that. You don't have that bottom order runs like England do. So it's difficult to put in those Pattinson, Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, Lyon as a bowling lineup. I think that'd be a great option.
It's difficult. That's just what I'm saying is that Australia have got the options, whereas England probably don't have that depth. Having said that, I will, for the sake of the series, I hope England make it 1-1 because if Smith does come back in for the last 2 Test matches, it's going to be very, very difficult to get for England to win both of those matches if it's still 1-0. Or, if it is 1-1, it's still to win one of them. Right, so in a nutshell, we all think that England should go well in the next test if Smith isn't playing. Couple of last questions there. Ethan Rosetto, regular. G'day, mate. Nice one sub, the one who got 59. Minus Lambashanga, mate. And the last one, I think this is kudos to producer Nick over in the corner there for making this happen. This guy says, I'm a POM. Nothing wrong with that. But this is a brilliant podcast to listen to and really needs to be going out to a wide audience. Should be a fascinating watch during the Ashes series. Bloody good blokes doing a great job. Well, first off, thank you. Second off, well done, Nick.
Yeah, man, I'm just making sure you guys can have an audience, I guess.
And thirdly, if you feel the same as Scott M, that's the guy's name who wrote that in, fantastic Scott, share this far and wide, send it out to your friends, write into us on the hashtag KSC podcast on Facebook at Kingsgrove Sports Centre, Twitter at Kingsgrove Sport, Instagram at Kingsgrove Sports. Now, before we wrap this up, and we'll have to do that very, very soon, gentlemen, I've got to do it. Mid-season Formula One break, how good is it?
Can't help himself.
Well, yeah, because there's nothing going on, so...
From a Formula One fan, how good.
Let me just overwrite that. Well done to Sri Lanka on winning in Gaul there, Harry's hometown over New Zealand. Let's see what New Zealand can come back with.
Yeah, it was a good victory. Good chase on last day. Yeah.
Very good.
Good test cricket.
Well, give us your predictions on those socials that I mentioned earlier. We're on YouTube, we're on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. What have I missed, Nick?
That's just, I mean, pretty much... We're everywhere. We've got the RSS feed in the YouTube description, so if you're using a podcast listening platform that allows you to add your own to the feed to your playlists or whatever, it's there. So if you're looking for us in a place that we're not, let me know. Thanks. Send us a message. I'll try and get us there.
No problem. Alrighty, well, we'll be back just before the fourth test in Manchester for episode 25 of the Kingsgrove Sports Centre podcast, and we hope to see you then. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Nice podcast, guys.
See you next time.
See you.